Hi, Megan.
Hey, Julian, how are you?
Good. How are you?
You know, I'm gearing up, getting ready for November, getting excited.
It's a big election, isn't it? What are some of the lessons that you think that we've learned in the last 4 years here in America?
Yeah, it's tough, I think, especially for the journalists covering the elections themselves, because it's harder now for, I think, for elections administrators in some ways to get through that noise, to get out information that we know that people need to hear so that they have greater confidence in the election. So to be able to sort of combat this obfuscation, which is intentional and can be effective, now we know that we need to be able to talk about what steps we've taken, not in great detail, because of course we don't want to give away the potential remaining issues or otherwise invite malicious behavior. But the ability to give voters confidence is now, I think, where the challenge that we're facing, whether it be coordinated inauthentic behaviors, the way Facebook now describes it, which, by the way, I don't think that term existed in 2016. So we've created a new term, and Facebook and many of the other platforms have created new ways, applying it to new abuses of platforms.
Yeah, I mean, it's posing a whole lot of new challenges to journalists. I mean, you mentioned that kind of obfuscation point, and I think traditionally journalists try to address the disinformation in a kind of reactive way instead of a proactive way, right? Journalists don't want to be seen as activists for the most part. But by the time you get your investigation together and you've addressed a point of disinformation, people have moved on and they've already kind of lost trust in that in a way. So, I mean, I looked up some statistics. According to Pew, 52% of Americans in the lead up to the 2020 election say they have little to no confidence that journalists act in the best interest of the public, which is just mind-blowing. Like, more than half the country doesn't think that journalists have their best interests in heart. And that like very closely mirrors the fact that more than half Americans also have little to no confidence that an election can be conducted in a fair and equal way. What can we do about that?
Well, a couple of things. First, taking stock. Who needs to do things about this? And I think that at the end of the day, we all do. All meaning voters do, the tech companies, journalists, the elections officials. Now that we've identified that this is an issue and we've identified some pathways forward, how can we work together to bring all of these pieces to the puzzle the next time around? And it's really not the next time around, it's like now.
Well, it seems like a lot of that has to happen truly beyond the sectors that we would traditionally consider to be those that constitute democracy. I mean, it's the role that other institutions play, social clubs, things like that. I mean, the dinner table, your family, right? I mean, this mythical post-election Thanksgiving dinner. It's not just up to the journalists to tell your uncle that they're reading bad information. It's up to all of us. It's pretty daunting, but I think we could all, work together on this thing.
There are some great organizations out there that are working in each of these spaces and working with us and others to try to connect those dots in a way that, as you said, we haven't had to really connect the dots in the past. So bringing the civil society and nonprofit organizations like Alliance for Securing Democracy, where Laura Rosenberger is, together with David Becker, to talk about, okay, how is the information about elections being perceived overseas, and what more can we do? That's Laura's domain, and David's working on domestically to see what else can we do to shore up elections, and what role can and should technology play in helping us solve some of those questions. Personal view, I don't think technology can or should solve all the problems. And guess what? Technology at the end of the day was created by humans, and humans are imperfect. So we can't expect technology to solve, to solve the thing we can't solve for ourselves. But thinking back to other phases of our democracy where we've kind of come through an election that has been, and through a year that's been as tumultuous as 2020, probably there's some lessons learned. So maybe you and I can talk about that at a future date.
Yeah, holistic. We got to think holistically. So
For
I
sure.
look forward to chatting with you more about this.
Me too.
All right, bye. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.